Candidates in Ecuador's presidential election set for February 7th held their first debate on Saturday, organized by private media. The debate came amidst a dispute over the possible removal of 4 councillors from the board of the National Electoral Council. Candidates discussed the economy, employment, public health, and public safety. Each person had a minute and 30 seconds to present their proposals and an extra minute for rebuttals. Unión por la Esperanza candidate Andrés Arauz, who is currently leading voter intention surveys, did not participate. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the dome that broke through the crater floor at the Soufriere volcano on December 27th is continuing to grow and has taken an ellipsoid shape. This was confirmed in a bulletin from the National Emergency Management Organization. A team from the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center spent Friday preparing equipment for deployment. The alert level remains at orange as the volcano continues to exude magma and steam on the surface.
We've been in contact with several hoteliers, some who have not opened up their properties as yet, as making those rooms available for them. Certainly we're having to put a contingency plan in place that if we need to help them with medical support, i.e. Using the respiratory center as a backup for them as to how we would potentially do that. And certainly using Huonora Airport as much as possible as another source of getting personnel into St. Vincent. So a lot of communication has been taking place behind the scenes. We're hoping for the best, but we're preparing ourselves for the worst.
Continuing with Caribbean news, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister and CARICOM Chair, Dr. Keith Rowley, has been discharged from the hospital after undergoing an angioplasty. According to a statement released by the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Rowley was examined by his doctors and declared fit to be discharged. The recently appointed chair of the Caribbean community felt discomfort and was rushed to a private medical facility on Friday. Meanwhile, opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar extended well wishes to Dr. Rowley. She said, "I wish Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley a swift and full recovery. My thoughts and prayers are with him and his family." In other news, the announcement by Haiti's Electoral Council that elections will take place in 8 months has further complicated an already volatile political situation, prompting condemnation from organizations across the country. The Electoral Authority has announced that the vote on the controversial constitutional referendum to strengthen the powers of the president will take place on April 25th, while general elections are carded for September 19th. Social organizations and opposition parties have rejected the declaration and have called on people to take to the streets. The Je Claire group in particular decried that insecurity in the Caribbean country has been aggravated by this proclamation. Barbados Prime Minister Mia Motley says her government has reached out to Cuba for assistance to control a surge in COVID-19 cases that stemmed from a party on a bus on December 26th. On Friday, the country recorded 39 new COVID-19 cases, pushing the cumulative number of positives to 780, with 385 recoveries and 7 deaths.
We have been in contact with the Cuban government and we have requested a number of additional doctors and specialists in particular, 2 communicable disease specialists, 2 respiratory disease specialists, 2 intensive care specialists, 2 anesthesiologists, 1 respiratory therapist, and for the lab, we've also requested 4 lab technicians who speak English to be able to assist us in the lab at the Dos Santos lab.
Now, Caribbean countries continue to struggle as nations with large economies rush to acquire COVID-19 vaccines. The Bahamian health minister said his government is working hard to ensure citizens don't get left behind and are immunized within the first 3 months of 2021.
Those countries in the Caribbean who are receiving of COVID-19 vaccines, I think you would realize that they are all British protectorates. They're still a part of the United Kingdom, and a part of the UK's policy is it's distributing vaccines to its territory. So you'd find the Cayman Islands, Turks and Caicos, the British Virgin Islands, those entities receiving vaccines. As I would have said in my statement earlier, the Bahamas government is aggressively seeking to procure vaccines, and we're doing all that we can to ensure that in the first quarter of this year that we'll be able to present a viable vaccine to the Bahamian people.
We'll take a short break now. Don't go away. Welcome back. The World Health Organization has urged rich countries to stop jumping the queue and making bilateral deals for the first wave of COVID-19 vaccines. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus called on nations that have booked vaccine doses in excess to donate them to the globally shared COVAX facility, which aims to distribute coronavirus jabs equitably around the world. He added that 42 countries have already started rolling out their COVID-19 vaccination programs, 36 of them being high-income nations, while the remaining 6 are middle-income states.
At present, 42 countries are rolling out safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines. 36 of these are high-income countries, and 6 are middle-income countries. So there is a clear problem that low and most middle-income countries are not receiving the vaccine yet. Vaccine nationalism hurts us all and is self-defeating. But on the flip side, vaccinating equitably saves lives, stabilizes health systems, and would lead to a truly global economic recovery that stimulates job creation.
Speaking of vaccines, China has announced it is going to vaccinate all of its citizens from COVID-19 for free. Leader of the Vaccine Research and Development Team, Zheng Zhongwei, said the government will soon start the public immunization program after purchasing vaccines from local manufacturing enterprises. This comes as COVID-19 cases steadily increase in the north of Hubei province, where COVID-19 was first discovered.
Our country will provide free COVID-19 vaccines to all people, which means people do not have to pay a single cent for the vaccine. Enterprises have cost in the research and development, production, storage, and transportation of the vaccines. As a result, enterprises will price the COVID-19 vaccine as a public good based on costs, and the relevant government departments will follow the corresponding procedures and buy from enterprises at relevant prices and then provide the vaccine free for all.
The United Kingdom has recorded over 3 million coronavirus cases since the illness broke out in the country last year. Health officials said the record was reached after almost 60,000 infections were confirmed in 24 hours. 1,035 fatalities have also been registered, pushing the death toll to over 80,000. The UK recently reintroduced strict measures, sending the country into virtual lockdown to try to curb the spread of the new COVID-19 variant. Mosques and schools in the Gaza Strip have reopened following sanitary measures. Palestinian youths have returned to school while Muslim worshippers pray at the mosque in Gaza City after a decision by the Strip's Hamas Islamist rulers to allow prayer in mosques from Sunday to Thursday. Precautionary measures were put in place, with worshippers having to wear face masks, bring their own prayer mats, and maintain social distancing. However, Hamas's Interior Ministry has said that mosques will remain closed on Fridays and Saturdays, when a full lockdown across the Palestinian enclave will remain in place.
After more than a month of closing the mosques due to the coronavirus pandemic, it was decided today to reopen them. We also took some sanitary measures, including wearing the protective mask, not shaking hands, and keeping a social distance of not less than 2 meters between each worshippers.
Ethiopian refugees who fled conflict in the Tigray region have finally settled at a new camp in Sudan. The settlement was established by the United Nations High Commission for Refugees at the Tenedba camp in Mafaza, located in the east of the country. The UN Refugee Agency said it is still receiving new migrants as the Sudanese government has kept its borders open to allow free movement for asylum seekers.
We arrived here yesterday, after 2 months of displacement. We found the situation better here. Since we arrived, we found that cooked food and we ate. We stood in line for a quarter of an hour only, and we received our tent and settled in. The people who arrived before us have received everything: lights, solar panels, and donations.
We're taking one last break, but we do have more stories coming up, so stay with us. Welcome back. Snowstorms across much of Spain have left 4 people dead and has caused chaos in the country. On Friday, Madrid experienced its heaviest snowfall since 1971 after what the weather agency described as exceptional and most likely historic conditions caused by Storm Filomena. Madrid's Barajas airport was shut down with traffic disrupted on nearly 400 roads. The Renfe rail network said all trains to and from Madrid have also been cancelled. Thousands of trapped motorists have reportedly been freed as more snowfall was expected throughout Saturday. Now, the Spanish government has since announced that more than 700 major routes are still impassable across the country after Saturday's snowstorm, the worst the country has seen in decades.
At present, 702 roads are still affected by the heavy snowfalls of the last few hours. 171 are cut off from traffic, 2 of them belonging to the main road network of Girona and Toledo.
As regards the state of the network and rail services, as you know, yesterday afternoon, the rail network extended the suspension of the services to and from Madrid for both high-speed and long and medium-distance trains.
Indonesian authorities have found the location of a crashed plane's black boxes, providing a clue to the fate of the missing Boeing 737 aircraft. Rescue teams have also found debris in the sea, along with human body parts believed to be from the 62 passengers who were on board the craft. All of the travelers were Indonesians, including 10 children. This is the second fatal plane crash to occur in the country's airspace in 2 years. In October 2018, 189 people were killed when a Lion Air Boeing 737 MAX jet crashed near the capital, Jakarta.
We have detected and continue monitoring 2 signals sent by the black box. We have marked the position. Hopefully, within a short time, we'll be able to take it in so that the National Transportation Safety Commission can identify the cause of the accident.
Still in Indonesia, at least 11 people have been killed, including a 6-year-old boy, and dozens more remain missing after deadly landslides hit the country's West Java province. Torrential rains triggered the disaster on Saturday evening in the town of Sumedang, where a second landslide buried residents and a rescue team that had been searching for the initial victims. Authorities continue to search for survivors. Seychelles has started the COVID-19 vaccination program after receiving 50,000 doses of a Chinese vaccine. The archipelago nation has become one of the first African countries to begin vaccinating its population against the coronavirus. Seychelles received a donation of 50,000 doses of a vaccine made by Chinese pharma giant Sinopharm. The campaign will start with the country's leaders, and health workers will start getting their doses on Monday.
I'm going to be the first person receiving the vaccine. And I want this to be an example for all Seychellois to show that the vaccine is safe and that it will give us another tool in our arsenal for victory.
Parliamentary elections have kicked off in Kazakhstan. The ruling party expected to score a big win with no major opposition groups running in the vote. The nationwide Social Democratic Party, the main opposition party in the country, is boycotting the vote. Another opposition movement, the Democratic Party, failed to secure official registration ahead of the ballot. The elections will decide 98 of 107 seats in the lower house. 9 other seats will be separately elected by the Assembly of People of Kazakhstan, a political body designed to represent ethnic minorities in the country. In an attempt to modernize the system, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has overseen the introduction of quotas for women and under 29s in political parties' candidates' lists.
I think this election must become a step forward in the development of our democracy. Every election is a serious test of our civic maturity. I sincerely hope that there will be various parties in our parliament. The authorities have done everything necessary to hold a fair election. All candidates have been provided with equal opportunities.
Speaking of elections, polls have opened in Kyrgyzstan as the presidential race kicks off a few months after the ouster of the previous president in October. The crucial ballot is expected to restore peace in the Central Asian nation, which sank into turmoil soon after a parliamentary election won by pro-government parties. These polls are the first to be held since the ex-Soviet country was embroiled in the political crisis. Shifting gears now, 3 people were killed in Russia after an avalanche hit a resort in the Siberian city of Norilsk. A 38-year-old woman, her 48-year-old husband, and their 18-month-old child were among the dead. Meanwhile, a 14-year-old was pulled from the snow and has been hospitalized with frostbite. Officials said the avalanche swept through a ski resort outside the Arctic city overnight. Emergency rescue workers are still searching for survivors. Russia's investigative committee has opened a criminal probe to determine if the building's owner had adequate safety measures in place.
There was an avalanche in Krasnoyarsk Krai. As a result, up to 6 buildings were buried under the snow. According to preliminary information, there may be people under the snow. Search and rescue operations are underway. The work of rescuers and volunteers made complicated by difficult weather conditions such as blizzards and strong winds.
On that note, we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Now, for our viewers in Africa, remember you can find us on Starsat Channel 461 in South Africa and Channel 539 in Nigeria. And join us on social media for TeleSUR English. I am Doris Polo. Thanks for watching.